Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today we are doing the 2024 mid-year top 10s, and this is going to be on the 140-pound junior welterweight division. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So the mid-year top 10s is an updated rankings of where I see the top 10 in each division at the halfway point. You know, it's centered around my top 10s, which is my favorite videos to do that I do at the end and beginning of every year. You know, so I take those, I look at what I believe and who's fought, and I move things around based on who I feel is the most deserving. But these aren't the official top 10s of the year. It's just how I have it at the halfway point. The official will come out at the end of the year, but let's see how things have moved around, and maybe the deepest division and what I believe might be the best overall division in boxing in terms of talent. There's a ton here at 140 pounds, and this was not an easy division to do. Now, I got 5 guys tied for 9th. I think 5 or 6, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 guys tied for 9th. You know, that's how tight it was. But with that, you know, with the end of the year top 10s, I try to do a solid 10. You know, these 10 are the deserving. When I do the mid-years, I'm okay with having guys tied because it's not official, and these guys all have an opportunity to come in the second half of the year and take that you know, those final couple spots. So let's take a look. We start with the guys that dropped out. Only one guy dropped out. That was previous number 10, Arnold Barbosa Jr. Or he might have been number 9. I actually had 2 guys that I saw in that position. But anyways, be that as it may, Barbosa was in the top 10. I have him dropping out of the top 10. He has fought twice in 2024. Got a nice win in his debut for Golden Boy in January, and then returned a couple months later and fought another nobody, and really had to fight really hard and score a somewhat controversial decision and a tight one to remain undefeated. That, and considering his best win is probably a decision win over Jose Pedraza, I'm, you know, I don't think he's in the top 10 right now. That's just where it is. So he has the opportunity to bounce back. He's the WBO's #1 ranked contender. I'm hoping he gets Teofimo Lopez, who is the WBO champion, or at least gets an official final eliminator against a top tier, top 10 guy. But we'll see what happens. I would love to see him and Jose Ramirez, Golden Boy's top 2 fighters, but not sure Oscar wants to risk those 2 guys fighting each other. But again, I'd love to see Barbosa and Teofimo Lopez fight in the second half of the year for the title in a mandatory fight. So we'll see what goes down. Now, the 5 guys that are tied for 9th. We first start with Ishmael Barroso, the WBA interim champion right now. He wasn't ranked coming in. He was just outside of the top 10. In January, he took on O'Hara Davies and destroyed Davies in 1 round. The WBA then upgraded him somehow to interim champion, and now he's waiting around for his title shot. We know Isaac Cruz, the new champion, was granted a right to fight Rolly Romero in March, and is now getting another exception and is fighting Jose Valenzuela in August. I'm hoping the WBA enforces Cruz or Valenzuela, the winner, to fight Barroso, because he deserves it. You know, he really does. He's earned that right to fight for the title, and it's a shame that he has not been given that opportunity again to compete for the belt, considering he was wrongfully, you know, the fight was wrongfully stopped against Rolly Romero last year, and he absolutely earned it with a dominating performance over O'Hara Davies, who was the #1 contender in the WBA when he fought him. That was a final eliminator, and he earned it after he got robbed, you know, and the fight stopped controversially last year against Romero. So I'm hoping Barroso gets the opportunity against the winner of Cruz and Valenzuela, even if he's on the radar and the fight is signed and good to go in early 2025. I'm okay with that too, as long as he gets the fight, but we'll see. Next, also tied for 9th, is contender Gary Antoine Russell. He entered the year undefeated. In June, he would fight for the vacant WBC interim title against Alberto Puello. He was the odds-on favorite to win, and he would end up losing, dropping a close split decision in that fight. And then after Devin Haney gave up his world title, and was declared champion in recess, the WBC upgraded Puello, but they ordered 2 title fights. They ordered Puello to fight #1 contender Sandor Martin next, and then the winner of that fight has to fight Gary Antoine Russell. So he has a guaranteed title shot coming likely in early 2025, but what does he do in the second half of the year? I'm hoping he comes back, takes on decent competition to shake off that loss to Puello and get a win. That way he's motivated and pumped up to fight the winner of Puello and Martin, as they, again, are going to compete in the second half of this year. Next, tied for 9th, is former IBF champion Subriel Matias. He was number 8 coming in. He lost the IBF title to Liam Paro on June 15th in the DAZN main event in a really surprising upset. Liam Paro just outworked them in a close, tough battle, but got the deserving decision and took the title away from Matias. Matias now, is not ranked in any governing body as of yet, following the loss. Not sure what's going to happen with Matias, if he's going to, how he's going to bounce back. I personally think the IBF, because it was such a close fight, the IBF should guarantee him a final eliminator, and they should put him in against Gustavo Lemos. Lemos was on the wrong side of a decision against Richardson Hitchens. Controversial decision in the IBF final eliminator. Matias lost a very close fight to Liam Paro. I think these 2 guys should lock horns to become mandatory in the second half of this year. I think that's the rightful thing to do. I'm hoping the IBF does that, because not a lot of guys are going to want to sign up to fight Matias anyways. I think Lemos would fight him, and I think that'd be a firefight, and I think that's what should go down. So we'll see. Next, tied for 9th, is former world title challenger Jermaine Ortiz. Jermaine Ortiz started the year as a lightweight. He was a top 5 lightweight. He was moved up. He was offered a title shot against Teofimo Lopez in February, and he moved up to fight him at 140, coming in as a sizable underdog, and he almost, pulled off a huge upset in a very close fight and controversial decision win that went to Teofimo Lopez. As Ortiz came up short, but he fought so well. I don't know what he's going to do next. So I don't know if he's moving back down to 135 or if he's staying at 140. But either way, I hope he gets some kind of an opportunity, because he deserves it in the second half of the year. We'll see what happens. His highest ranking, though, is number 9 by the IBF right now. And the final guy to tie for 9th is mandatory #1 contender Sandor Martin. He came into the year number 6. He hasn't fought yet, as he was waiting around for his mandatory shot. He had the fight ordered with Devin Haney, but when Devin Haney saw that only one bidder bid on the fight at a total of $2.4 million, where he was only going to get $1.8 as his purse, he decided to that he was so upset over the Ryan Garcia thing and that offer that he decided to take a step back. The WBC named him champion in recess, and then Alberto Puello, the interim champion, was upgraded and ordered to fight Sandor Martin next. So we know Sandor Martin is going to challenge for the WBC title in his next fight against undefeated Alberto Puello. I think it could happen on a PBC undercard like the Fundora Spence undercard, or if Tank Davis and Vasily Lomachenko come to terms for a fight. Bob Arum said he wants that to be a PBC and top rank card, which means they would put a fight like this on. Puello's with the PBC and Sandor Martin's with top rank. They absolutely would have these guys fight each other on that major card, and I think it'd be a great fight. I think Martin has a really good chance to beat Puello. If you're asking me my opinion right now, I'm giving a slight edge to Puello in that fight, but I absolutely think Martin could win it as well. and I'm glad he's finally getting his title opportunity. So we'll see when that fight gets ordered. I'm really looking forward to that. Then at number 8 is former unified champion Jose Ramirez. He came into the year number 5. He drops 3 spots to number 8. He did return against Rances Barthelemy and got a hard-fought but deserving 12-round unanimous decision. He almost got put down in that fight. He got hurt. He was able to weather the storm and kept coming, but it was a competitive bout, but he outworked the former 2-division champion Barthelemy and got the decision win. He's currently the WBO's number 4 ranked contender. I'm hoping he gets some kind of bigger fight in the second half of the year. Arnold Barboza in a final eliminator, or a rematch like with Josh Taylor, or a title shot if somebody wants to give him the opportunity. It just depends on what happens. But I'm hoping we find out something by the next Champions Report at the end of August to see what's going to go down with, at the next, not Champions Report, I'm sorry. I'm hoping we find out soon what Ramirez is going to do and who he's going to fight. Next, at number 7 is former undisputed champion Josh Taylor. Taylor entered the year number 3, drops 4 spots to number 7 right now. He returned in May and took on Jack Catterall in a much-anticipated rematch from their 2022 battle. It was a really good fight this time around. Really close. I thought it could go either way. The judges gave the fight to Catterall. I didn't have a problem with that, and Taylor came up short. Taylor wanted a third fight, though. He wanted the rubber match with Catterall, but Catterall moved on and is fighting Regis Prograis next. So what does Taylor do? I hope he doesn't move to welterweight. I'd like to see Taylor stay at 140 and fight somebody good. You know, Taylor is currently number 6 by the WBC and the WBO. I'd love to see him and Ramirez fight in a rematch. Something on of that nature, I think that'd be good. But just to come back and take on another top tier guy to keep himself relevant, to let everybody know that he wants to get back into that title mix, I think that's what he should do in the second half of the year. We'll see what happens. Number 6 is the undefeated and newly crowned WBC champion Alberto Puello. As I've been saying, Puello got a very big opportunity in June to challenge Gary Antoine Russell for the vacant WBC interim title, but most felt he was going to lose, myself included. But he figured out Russell, who kept coming forward and trying to slug it out, and he outworked Russell in the second half of the fight and got a deserving but close split decision victory to become the interim champion. Then, just a couple weeks later, Devin Haney decided he was so upset about his purse bid and about the situation with Ryan Garcia that he was going to take a step back, and the WBC named him champion in recess and allowed and upgraded Puello to full champion, and then ordered him to make a mandatory defense against number 1 contender Sandor Martin. So we know Puello and Martin are going to fight next. As I said, I think it could end up on a big PBC card like the Fundora and Errol Spence card, but I think it's more likely that if Gervonta Davis and Vasily Lomachenko work out a deal to fight each other, that Bob Arum's idea of having PBC fight Top Rank that night is a great idea, and this fight is already mandated. So I absolutely believe this would be on the undercard, and it would be big. I will give a slight edge to Puello over Martin, but I do believe Martin stands a good chance, and I can't wait to see that fight right there between Puello and Sandor Martin. Next, at number 5 is the undefeated and newly crowned IBF champion Liam Paro. Paro in June got a golden opportunity to challenge for the IBF title against Subriel Matias, and he went into Matias's backyard and scored a big upset, very close 12-round unanimous decision, as he claimed the IBF title with that victory, his first championship. Now the plans for Paro, apparently for Eddie Hearn, he wants him to make a homecoming defense. He wants him to go back to Australia and defend his title. Options right now have been that have been thrown around are Devin Haney and Devin Haney, who says he's interested if the money's right. There's also been talks of potentially George Kambosos Jr. in an all-Australian battle. There's also been talks of a potential showdown with the winner of Regis Prograis and Jack Catterall, but I don't know. It depends on how they come out of their fight and if the timing would work out with Paro to fight them. But then there's also been talks of him making a mandatory defense against Richardson Hitchens, his #1 ranked contender, in his homecoming. So I do believe his next fight will be in Australia, and I really hope it's the Richardson Hitchens fight so he gets that mandatory out of the way before he looks at unifying belts in a bigger fight after that. So we'll see what goes down with Paro, but very excited to see him return in the second half of the year. Next at number 4 is the newly crowned WBA champion, Isaac Cruz. He also was not ranked coming into the year. He was a lightweight. He was ranked in the top 10 at lightweight. He got a golden opportunity to move up and challenge Rolly Romero for the WBA title on the March 30th Amazon Prime pay-per-view debut card. And he dominated Romero, put him down in the first round, and then just never let up, kept pressing, and finally stopped him in the 8th round to capture his first world championship. Now he is set to return August 3rd on the Crawford Madrimov undercard, pay-per-view undercard, to defend his title against Jose Valenzuela. This is a big fight right here for Cruz. I think it's a tough one. You're asking me my pick right now. I'm picking Valenzuela. I don't know why, but I'm picking Valenzuela. But I think Cruz obviously has a major chance. He's the favorite to pull off the victory. I think it's going to be a good one though on August 3rd, and we'll see if he's victorious what he decides to do after that. Next at number 3 is former world title challenger Jack Catterall. He moves up 1 spot from number 4. Catterall got the biggest victory of his career in May when he redeemed his lone defeat by scoring a very close unanimous decision victory over Josh Taylor in late May. It was a big win for him. There was talks of a potential 3rd fight, but he quickly moved on and signed on for August 24th to take on former 2-time world champion Regis Prograis. So they're going to fight on DAZN on August 21st. Catterall's the WBO's #2 contender. This could lock up a title shot, a win over Prograis. I'm really looking forward to seeing that fight. I think it's going to be a good one on that card. We'll see what goes down right there. And then at number 2 is the reigning WBO champion Teofimo Lopez. He entered the year #2. He remains there for the moment. He fought twice. In February, he took on Jermaine Ortiz, got a lackluster, somewhat controversial decision victory over Ortiz to retain the belt. Then in June, he returned against the guy, a very unknown 7-loss fighter in Steve Claggett, a guy that most people felt he should have dominated. He got a clean unanimous decision, but he really had to work hard, and he took some lumps in that fight. It was a very uneventful type of decision win, and really didn't bode well for him. So 2-0 on the year so far, but really not a lot of people showing Lopez love, and he doesn't deserve it in my opinion. He has not looked good this year, and I'm really interested in seeing what he does next. Does he make a mandatory against Barbosa? Does he try to unify belts against somebody else? Will he move up and fight Brian Norman at welterweight? A lot of moving pieces. I'm looking forward to seeing what he decides to do, and I'm also looking forward to seeing if the WBO is going to order him to fight Arnold Barbosa next. And then finally at number 1 is the now former 2-division champion Devin Haney. He's currently the WBC champion in recess. He fought Ryan Garcia, as we all know, in April. Garcia came in overweight for the fight, so the WBC said the belt was only on the line for Haney. Then Haney lost to Ryan Garcia, and the WBC decided to make an exception and allow him to stay champion. Then Garcia decided to, he tested positive for a banned substance, and eventually the fight got turned into a no contest. So Devin Haney remained undefeated. Then a purse bid was held for Devin Haney to fight his mandatory challenger Sandor Martin. Top Rank was the only, which is Martin's promoter, was the only promotion to put in a bid for the fight. They won with a $2.4 million offer, which would get Devin Haney $1.8 million. Devin Haney felt like that was below him. He was very upset about that and about the Garcia situation. So he decided to take a step back. He was named champion in recess and is now no longer the WBC champion. Now, he has been offered an opportunity for Liam Paro. He said if the money was right, he might accept that bout. We don't know what he's going to do. I think there's a very good chance he takes the rest of the year off. If he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised if he fights anybody, to be honest. But we'll see what goes down. And that's the top 10. Another guy that dropped out that I mistakenly left off the list was Regis Prograis. Prograis has the opportunity to get right back in the top 10 when he battles Jack Catterall on August 24th. He's bouncing back from that loss to Devin Haney last December. 10 months off. He has a big opportunity to jump right back in. So we'll see how he does. I personally feel he's going to lose that fight to Catterall, but we'll see what happens August 24th on DAZN. And now the top 6 guys that are not in the top 10, but are floating around it in terms of where they're ranked in the current governing bodies. We start with Arnold Barbosa, who was in. He's the WBO's #1 ranked contender. We already discussed him when we discussed the outs of what opportunities he has. Next is IBF #1 contender Richardson Hitchens. I mentioned earlier that Hitchens is the mandatory challenger. He defeated Gustavo Lemos by a controversial decision. He very well could land the shot at Liam Paro for the IBF title, and I think that's the more likely fight to happen, and I hope it does happen because I want to see Paro get the mandatory out of the way in the second half of the year. So I think it's very possible Hitchinson could fight Liam Paro for the IBF title in the second half of the year. Next is Kenneth Sims. Sims is the WBA's #1 ranked contender. He has not fought yet this year. Not sure what's going to go on with him and when he's going to be returning to action. I think there could be a chance he fights Ishmael Barroso for the interim title, but that's just me speculating right there. It really is unknown what Kenneth Sims is doing next. Next up is Nestor Bravo, the undefeated contender. He's #2 in the WBA. Him and Kenneth Sims could be ordered to fight to become the WBA's #1 ranked contender. That could be what's coming down the pike. Bravo just returned earlier in the year and got a stay busy knockout win. That's all he's done. So I wouldn't be surprised if a mandatory fight was ordered. Next is Dalton Smith, who's undefeated. He's the WBC's #4 ranked contender right now. He actually scored the biggest win of his career when he took on Jose Zepeda, former world title challenger, and knocked him out on a body shot in the 5th round of their fight. I think in March. So Dalton Smith is rolling, getting the biggest career win. Can't wait to see what he signs on to do next and against who. He could end up in an eliminator before the end of the year. Then it's Jose Valenzuela, who's the WBA's #5 contender. He's getting the opportunity against Isaac Cruz in August, and I'm calling it right now. I think Valenzuela pulls off the upset and beats Cruz and becomes your next WBA champion at 140, but we'll see what goes down. But I'm very interested in seeing that fight. I think it's going to be a good one. I'll be doing a breakdown video very soon on that fight. And then finally is the IBF's #6 contender, Gustavo Lemos. Lemos was on the wrong side of a decision against Richardson Hitchens. I felt like he did enough to beat Hitchens. It was a close fight, but I felt like he defeated him and was deserving, but he came up short. I felt like it was close enough to where they should order an automatic rematch. They didn't. So what I think Lemos should do is push for a final eliminator against Subriel Matias to determine the next mandatory. Matias suffered an upset, very close decision loss to new champion Liam Paro. Paro and Richardson Hitchens could be fighting for the IBF title in the second half of the year. So why not have Gustavo Lemos and Subriel Matias? So we'll see what happens, but that's it. That's what I got. That is my 2024 mid-year top 10s on the 140-pound junior welterweight division. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.